Hello everyone, welcome to the channel here at MeteoMark Weather. We're in special winter storm mode here as a historic storm takes aim on the deep south all the way up the east coast and interior sections. A very large swath of nearly 200 million people being affected by this storm. Some areas could see extreme dangerous ice accumulations from the south up the east coast. Some areas eclipsing a half an inch to 3/4 of an inch of ice. Some areas over an inch. Major power outages expected. Also on the northern side of this storm, we could be looking at 12 to 24 inch plus snowfall amounts. We'll get into the areas that could see the highest snow and ice accumulations with this dangerous historic storm. And come the end of the week into next weekend, could we be looking at another coastal storm forming along the east coast? And that pattern continues into early February. We'll take a look at that. And we'll also be looking at the tropics here from the Caribbean, Central America. Yeah, things are looking wetter again across this region. We'll look at the flood threat. Let's get into it. And a sneak peek to the European snowfall amounts here. Yeah, big, huge snowfall amounts from the southern plains all the way up through the Ohio Valley, parts of the eastern Great Lakes, mid-Atlantic, into the northeast. Some areas could be getting 1 to 2 feet of snow. And looking at our ice amounts here, we could be looking at staggering ice totals. Some areas getting a half an inch to 3/4 of an inch and even close to an inch of ice in some areas, as this is going to be the ugly, dangerous side of the storm from the southern plains all the way up into parts of the mid-Atlantic. All right, so starting off here with our HRRR feature radar, this looks like one giant mess here, and that is true. Look at this. As we continue to watch northern parts of Texas, northern Louisiana here, all the way up into the Tennessee River Valley, we could be looking at a tremendous amount of ice here. And then on the northern side, look at that heavy snow expand north and eastward throughout Sunday evening here, Oklahoma City. We're still continuing back towards Lubbock. And look at the snow starting to break out around Richmond, Virginia, ice down towards Raleigh. And Atlanta, you're actually going to change over to rain now quicker. Although watch out overnight as we head through midnight. Look at how the wedge of cold air kind of situates itself here towards Gainesville and Athens. And it starts to creep towards the northern suburbs of Atlanta. Look at Nashville, down towards Jackson, all the way down to Shreveport. And the ice line is heading south and to include San Antonio. That heavy snow on the northern side, watch out, 12 to 18 inches is a popular number. Richmond, the ice line is reaching you towards 3 a.m. And eastern North Carolina, the Outer Banks, look at, you're getting into solid rain here. So you're being saved by this solid rain line. Look at Texas, though. That freezing line continues south and eastward. We could actually see some severe thunderstorms in this sector here from New Orleans, Hattiesburg, all the way up to Birmingham, maybe as far north as Chattanooga. That's kind of crazy considering. Look at Atlanta here. That ice, that wedge of cold air that we're concerned about continues. Now, the northern edge, let's just back this up a second. 2 a.m., here's 3 a.m. Look at the heavier snow bands getting into parts of Columbus, Pittsburgh, Indianapolis, Harrisburg area, Washington, D.C., northern Delmarva as that ice line creeps northward. Towards 9 a.m., we're getting into all snow here across Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, upstate New York. It really starts to push in right around 11 a.m. at noon. Look at the rain line, though, making it all the way up through Virginia Beach. Richmond, it looks like you're holding on to that ice. The rain line makes it as far north as just right around Charleston, West Virginia here. So maybe parts of the Ohio River here get into some rain. Pittsburgh, it looks like you're staying all heavy snow at this point over to Harrisburg, Allentown. Philadelphia, you start to mix out around 1 p.m. You're still getting those 1 to 2 inch an hour snowfall rates here in New York City. Look at the heavy snow bands all the way up through Binghamton, Albany, Erie, Cleveland area, Columbus. Very heavy rain. We're starting to move a squall line eastward here from Atlanta, Georgia, southward. So Atlanta, this is weird. You could actually see, rain to ice and then back to rain and thunderstorms, maybe some severe weather here towards 3 p.m. So watching out for damaging wind and isolated tornado threat here. Look at this wedge of ice, though, down in through parts of South Carolina, northeast suburbs of Atlanta. all rain up here along the coast of eastern North Carolina, eastern Virginia, and southeastern Delaware and Maryland here. So watch out, that ice line, sleet pellets getting into New York City by 4 p.m. So this is what could cut your snowfall amounts down just below a foot. In many areas, it's that sleet and freezing rain that may try to move in here. Washington, D.C., you're over to all freezing rain by 6 p.m. And look at the heavier snow bands. It seems like the GFS is also moving this storm a little bit quicker with the low center right down in this area. You can see heavy ice continuing on the back end of the storm all the way down through Charlotte, Raleigh, Greensboro. These areas we could be looking at continued heavy snow into eastern Ohio too. So the back end of this system moving through just west of Pittsburgh, Cleveland, you're tapering off to snow showers here. Now, as we stretch through 10 p.m. on Sunday evening, you can see that rain-snow line getting just south of New York City. It looks like even areas like Toms River down through Atlantic City, maybe even the southeastern suburbs of Philadelphia getting into some plain rain here. So that's a new development. That's north and west trend. But you see by midnight, we're tapering it off to scattered snow showers. I-81 corridor of New York and Pennsylvania, maybe some bursts of heavier snow continuing as we do have a little piece of energy hanging back here, a little trough. But look at that. Looks like freezing drizzle takes over into extreme eastern Pennsylvania, northern New Jersey, and then stretching over towards parts of Hartford, Connecticut, Providence. And look at this. 6 a.m. Monday, you can see the heaviest is over towards Boston, Cape Cod area. Maybe a little dry slot moving in, however. And then you start to see those snow showers kicking back across parts of interior Northeast. Let's take a look at the GFS and the European run. All right, so here we are with the GFS, and then I'll show you the European run in just a minute or two. You can see as we stretch through, let's see, we're going to pick up, let's do some overlap here. So as we head on into Sunday morning, you can see, look at the expanse of this system. I do have to say, didn't mention this in the future radar, but some of these areas of ice could see up to 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. Some areas where it persists longer, closer to an inch. But you can see 10 a.m. on Sunday morning, very much aligned with the HRRR future radar, and I'll show you the European. It's looking pretty spot on as well. So there is that ice on that wedge of cold air on the east side of the Appalachians. Now you see west of the Appalachians, that rain line moving up through, but the heaviest snow is going to align right through this area right here. That's where we're going to see those 1 to 2 inch an hour spots. Towards 7 p.m. on Sunday here, you can see, look at this, the low pressure center just southeast of Atlantic City here. So that's going to bring some rain onshore here, Delmarva Peninsula up to Atlantic City, and that stretches just south of New York City. It's going to be really close for you. Here's 10 p.m. Now, many of you have noticed there's a more rapid movement in this low pressure. So on the back edge of this, we're going to see that back edge move through Pittsburgh right around 10 p.m., maybe a little bit earlier on Sunday evening here. And look at this, the GFS moving that back edge towards the I-81 corridor of New York and Pennsylvania, moving those heavier snowfall amounts into Massachusetts, Connecticut longer here. And then as we stretch through 4 a.m. and 7 a.m., look at this new development. It's like it clears out much quicker here into portions of the Northeast. So that's what we're looking for, a faster system. It's not going to cut the snowfall amounts down that tremendously, though, inland, though. We're going to go over, as I showed you the sneak peek at the beginning of the video, there's solid 12 to 18 inches with some areas close to 2 feet or achieving 2 feet. So we're going to get some amazing snow growth ratios here on the order of 20 to 1 in some areas, many areas 15 to 1. But that's going to result into some tremendous snow growth potential here. Now, as we continue through, I just wanted to skip ahead. Most of the week looks quiet, just clear and cold, but as we stretch through the 29th and 30th, we get this coastal system trying to develop. Now, this run of the GFS, just like the Euro, I'll show you momentarily, it's off the coast, but we do get a couple spin-ups here. This one towards the 31st, look at this. The GFS now going further west as we get into next weekend, so we could be looking at another potential coastal storm. This may continue to trend westward, and it may continue to get stronger, so we'll keep an eye on it here. All right, so picking up where our future radar left off here for the European run as we stretch on into Sunday night into Monday here. You can see that low pressure center moving towards the East Coast. We're actually just going to back it up here and overlap on the HRRR, kind of like what we did the GFS. So you see how this plays out into early Sunday. You can see the heavier snow into the Ohio Valley, Pennsylvania, Maryland initially. That ice line moving north here. Look at the rain line moving all the way into western West Virginia here, almost as much as the Ohio River. That is going to pivot just south and east of Pittsburgh. You can see the ice line getting into New York City here as we stretch on into later Sunday night here. Rain in southern New Jersey here, but on the northern side, that is where we're going to see those heavy snowfall rates right in this band right here, about 1 to 2 inches an hour, close to 3 inches an hour in some of these bands. Now, as we head on into overnight, it looks like the European is going with a faster solution here. So this may keep many locations from reaching 2 solid feet here. So probably 12 to 18 inches is looking like the popular amount, with some isolated areas 20 to 24 inches. But you see by Monday morning, just before sunrise, this low filling in pretty quickly. Just snow showers on the back end. You see those isobars really tightening up. That ultimately means we're going to be looking at some very windy conditions. So those pain levels will be going through the roof with the pressure gradient, high pressure building in behind it pretty readily here from the plains. And look at that. Into Tuesday morning, we're seeing that snow shower action just continuing through eastern New England here. And as we continue to go through the rest of the week, you can see we got that Alberta Clipper diving south and eastward from the Midwest. That may try to spin up some sort of coastal. This is going back and forth. So if you're along the East Coast here, watch out. Heading on into late week, early next weekend, we may be looking at another potential coastal system. So here we are with our snowfall mounts. On the European run, the latest run here looking like this. So yeah, this just takes us through Sunday right around noon. You can see from northern Panhandle, Texas here, all the way through Oklahoma, southern Missouri, northwestern Arkansas. This is where the band of heaviest snow is going to be here into the maroon colors. This is right around 1 foot to 1.5 feet in many areas. Look at how that pushes up into the northeast later Sunday into early Monday morning. Yeah, up there in upstate New York, Pennsylvania area. Let's just stop it right about there, early Tuesday morning. You can see this band. This is where the heaviest snow is going to be, right across central Ohio as well. Look at that, 17 inches, 18, 19 inches, southern Indiana, down in through parts of eastern Oklahoma. But then we follow up here into the northeast. New Jersey, I hate to say it, but for those of you that want more snow, it looks like you're going to get mixing here. New York City, you're right around 8, 9 inches. Long Island, eastern tip, 10 inches. Toms River here, right around 7 to 8. We'll keep an eye on this because this keeps inching north and westward here. Now, as you get up into Harrisburg, 17 inches. Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area, 17 inches. Look at parts of the Catskills here, upwards of 20 inches just west of the Hudson Valley. Most of the Hudson Valley getting 18 to 20 inches here. Up towards Binghamton, right around 19 inches. Jamestown, you're over here at 19. Bradford, Pennsylvania, 18 to 19. Erie, you're more towards 14. And Cleveland, you're at 15 inches here. And central Ohio, southwestern Ohio, a band of 17 to 19 inches. So this looks really interesting. Parts of western New England, maybe up to 1 foot. Actually 2 feet. Some of the, look at that, 24 inches. Boston right around 14. So you get the idea. The further south and east you go, that is where more mixing is going to occur. Northern Virginia, you're right around that 6, 8, 10-inch mark here. DC, you're right around 9 to 10 inches. So on the front end of this, you're going to get a burst of heavier snow. Then the mixing, the ice will move in some areas, especially southeastern New Jersey here, will switch over to rain later in the storm. Pittsburgh, you're right around 15, 16 inches. So watch out. Yeah, the European putting some lake enhancement behind this as well. And you can see the northwestern extent of this heavy snow shield. And snowfall mounts here on our GFS model. Wow, look at this. Very similar to the European model. We're seeing unanimous agreement here. Look at this as we stretch through Monday and early Tuesday when the storm pretty much has ended. But there it is. Northern parts of Texas through eastern Oklahoma, especially central Oklahoma. This maroon layer, this is where we're seeing that 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 inches. Look at this right around Pittsburgh, 21 inches. Binghamton, 17. Scranton, right around 15. Look at Philadelphia with this solution, though. This is getting that mixing up, 6 to 9 inches in this region here, southern Connecticut as well. Look at Albany area. This is like 20 to 24 inches into here. Boston as well, up to 22. So Massachusetts, this could be your big one here. Look at Syracuse right around 22, as I said before. Binghamton around 18. Jamestown around 18. Buffalo 14. Cleveland, you're right around 13. So you get further north and west, the amounts cut off, but 12 to 16, close to 20 inches near the Ohio River area. So you get the idea. Northern Virginia, the Appalachians, we're getting a lot more mixing down here. We'll get into those ice amounts momentarily because that's where we're going to really get the snow. Look at this over towards Nova Scotia, New Brunswick. I'll talk about this more readily here, but you could be looking at some significant snowfall totals here as well. So here we are with the ice accumulations on the Euro. Very staggering ice totals here during the entire storm. Northern Texas, southeastern parts of Oklahoma. This is where it's really concerning here, Dallas-Fort Worth area. I'm thinking a good 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. Southern parts of an extreme northern, look at this, an inch from northeastern Texas into northern Louisiana, stretching through northern Mississippi here and western Tennessee. Yeah, this is very concerning. Then we get that warm wedge moving up, so that's going to help cut down you to 1/4 to 1/2 inch of ice. Then we got cold air damming here. Atlanta itself, you're looking at about 2/10 of an inch, but as we head on into the northeast suburbs, you quickly get into 1/3 to 1/2 an inch, and then towards, beyond 1/2 an inch on the east side of the Appalachians here, Raleigh-Durham area, about 1/3 to 1/2 an inch. You get up towards Richmond, this is troubling. 3/4 of an inch of ice. This is enough to bring down a lot of trees and power lines. All the way up to DC, we're looking at just over 1/2 an inch of ice. Even New York City now, we're looking at about 1/3 of an inch. And this moving up into Philadelphia about, just shy of 1/10 of an, over 4/10 of an inch of ice. That's a lot of ice. So you get the idea. This is going to be very dangerous, even up into central Kentucky here. You're looking close to 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch of ice. And here we go on the GFS. Yeah, it's not much better. It does look a little bit less expansive here on the GFS, as you can see here. But you get the idea. We're not in a very good spot here. The GFS is a little bit further to the south and east, as you can see, but we're still looking at widespread 1/4 to 1/2 an inch, and then these green areas. This is where we're getting to 3/4 to 1 inch of ice. Look at that, just west of Nashville, 2 inches of ice. That's crazy. Northeast of Atlanta, some areas close over an inch of ice here on the GFS, and you see it pretty spotty up here. GFS not bringing as far north into New York City, 0 inches of ice, but you can see into Philadelphia about 1/10 to 1/4 inch. So you get the idea. Significant icing is likely. This is the ugly side of this winter storm. And looking at our upper air pattern here on the European run, you can see very deceiving. There's a ridge along the East Coast, but this is an overrunning storm. So this is not like massive trough, but a lot of moisture with it. Trough kicks in behind it. More cold air, Arctic blasts continuing as we continue with that ridge out west. Look at this towards Thursday into Friday. That's why I'm saying we may see some sort of coastal spin up later on this week. And if we just go out a little bit further here, you can ultimately see as we head later on into the first week of February, troughiness persists along the U.S. East Coast, and then we start to see ridging try to form back out west. And look at this. We're going to keep that East Coast snowstorm potential going into the first and second week of February. Very stormy pattern we're in. All right, so here we are looking at our NAO index. We're going to stay pretty much negative here, maybe towards neutral the second week of February, but it still looks like slightly negative here. And look at our MJO index here. You can see, we're pretty much into phase 7 now, heading towards phase 8 and 1 as we stretch later on into early to mid-February. So this is what we're looking at. Very stormy conditions will ensue and continue across eastern North America. All right, so here we are with the European liquid equivalent precipitation amounts. You can see this system has a lot of moisture with it. Much of this frozen on the northern end. Yeah, we're looking at a solid inch or two with locally 3 inches here into the banding of the red, especially where the severe weather occurs on the southern end of this. And we go later next weekend, watching for that coastal. There's a lot of moisture sitting off the coast and cold air back across the continental U.S. and Canada. And here we are looking at the rain totals here on the GFS comparing to the European model. Here we go. If we can get that to load, you can see with this storm, we're looking at a similar amount as on the European, 1 to 2 inches. Into the red zones, closer to 3 inches of liquid equivalent. We just go out a little bit further. You can see GFS hinting at that coastal for late week into early next weekend as well. We'll keep an eye on it. And looking out into your Sunday temperatures here, look at this. Look at most of Texas is below freezing here. That freezing line heading all the way up the west portion of the Appalachians and then along the coastline here just east of I-95. But look at those teens and 20s, even negative single digits up here in the northern plains. That pivots eastward into Monday, January 26th behind this storm. You can see a lot of teens here. Freezing line is way into the deep south here, heading right towards Atlanta, through Atlanta, I should say. And then on to Tuesday, that cold air pivots towards the northeast to mid-Atlantic. We stay in this deep freeze, and we're going to be in this Arctic blast polar vortex type thing for quite some time. You can see that colder air pivoting towards the north and the east here Wednesday into Thursday, January 29th. Look at that 32-degree line. It's staying really far to the south. That means any storm action that throws moisture into this, the cold air is actually building. And Robert Stone here from the Jamestown, New York area. Looking up at the street light here, you can see some light snow flurries coming down here. And things are going to get heavier as we continue throughout the weekend here, especially Sunday into Sunday night. Those heavy snowfall accumulations will be moving in. But you can see the snow is already piled up with that lake effect, lake enhancement that's been going on across this area. There's his road right there. There is a lot of snow just laying on the ground, and there's going to be more piling up on top of that. And it's gotten very, very cold here across western New York. Some areas this past night here, this is 1:45 a.m. that he's filming this on early Saturday morning. Some areas got down to 10 to 15 below zero. So you can see, look at this. This is quite a bit in the way of cold and snow, and many areas had these light snow showers. It's almost like tea kettle snow. These tiny little lake effect bands that form off of not just the Great Lakes like Erie and Ontario, but also off the Finger Lakes in upstate New York. We've had this, but you can see those light snow flurries there. Very easy to see up here on the street light. Very nice captures here. Robert Stone from the Jamestown, New York area. And before we continue with more weather coverage, if you made it this far in the video and you like it, please smash that like button, everyone. Thanks for watching. It's always wonderful having you on the channel here. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe bell notification button so you're alerted with all my future weather video updates. If you have a comment or a question, post it down below. I loved reading them and responding to them. Always a joy to do that as well. And if you haven't already, if you haven't checked out my 2026 winter outlook, it's a link in the description down below and at the end of this video. And if you want to send me a coffee, the link, super thanks, down below. Also the PayPal link, that's always welcome as well, and the link in the description down below. Let's continue with more important weather coverage. All right, so for our Canadian weather outlook, look at this. With the exception for southeastern Canada, there is not a whole lot going on up here. Now, southern Ontario, as we get on into Sunday, look at Toronto up to London, Ottawa, Montreal, Quebec City. You could be looking at some snowfall accumulations, but more importantly, southern New Brunswick, Nova Scotia. Some of these areas could be eclipsing 20 to 30 centimeters really easily here. Look at this as we get into the Monday morning time frame. That mixed line just south of Nova Scotia. Looks like Nova Scotia stays pretty much on the northern side of this low pressure. It keeps you all snow. Prince Edward Island and then into Newfoundland towards Tuesday. So you get the idea. We're going to watch for coastal systems, also a Pacific system over here, but high pressure pretty much in control of much of central portions of Canada. We do get an Alberta clipper from this energy diving south towards the United States. Now we draw our attention February 1st, this next coastal storm. Look at southern New Brunswick and Nova Scotia once again. In fact, all of New Brunswick gets into this. Now, this one could be a little bit further north. It could spread rain. So snow to rain in Nova Scotia and extreme southeastern New Brunswick, as this low looks a little further west. But then it fills in and more snow ensues here. So we'll keep an eye on it. Another Alberta clipper moving southward across Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Ontario here. This is going to stretch to the east with another potential coastal system as we head towards February 6th here for Nova Scotia and New Brunswick again. So we're going to pile the snow on. I'm going to show you those snowfall amounts here for Canada, and some of them could be very staggering here, but most of Canada being controlled by high pressure through that second week of February. As we look at Canadian snowfall amounts here, it is southern New Brunswick, Nova Scotia area. Nova Scotia could see solid like 15 to 20 inches. This is getting into, if you do the scale for the millimeters, 25, 30 centimeters plus in many of these areas. I think Prince Edward Island, southern New Brunswick as well, could be seeing those snowfall amounts, see them pile up here as we just go further out. But you get the idea. We're going to see a significant amount of snow here into southeast Canada. And I wanted to go a little bit further out here. That coastal system next weekend, and then another coastal system. Look at parts of Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, Western Newfoundland here. Look at the scale here. Some of you could be seeing snowfall of 60 to 90 centimeters over a 2-week period. All right, so let's take a look at our tropical update here. I never want to leave everyone in the Caribbean and Central America out here as we stretch through the rest of this winter into the new hurricane season later on this year. We're going to be looking at some shower and thunder shower action. Now look at, as we stretch through the next couple days, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, through Hispaniola. But more importantly, this front's going to be moving through the Gulf into the Northwest Caribbean. That northern coastline of Honduras, we could line up with some significant rainfall totals into early next week. We could be looking at heavy rain moving through parts of Jamaica area as well, and through Belize. We could be looking at showers and thunderstorms continuing through parts of the southeastern and central Bahamas as well. You can see as we stretch through the 30th into the 31st, that lifts to the north and to the east. We see this little feature off the coast of South America here, and has some heavier rain up towards Cancun come the first week of February. We could be looking at some significant rainfall totals moving through the Cayman Islands, Belize, down through northern Honduras, also through Jamaica through February 4th here, and through parts of Hispaniola. This lifting to the north with that new trough kicking in across the eastern parts of the Caribbean area. Now, we could be looking at showers and thunderstorms continuing south of Jamaica here as we stretch through February 9th. So you get the idea. We're looking wet kind of in this region. Let's take a look at the Euro. All right, so here we are, thanks to Tropical Tidbits, for our European weather model analysis here. You can see from Jamaica all the way through the Northeast Caribbean islands here. We're dealing with rainfall as we stretch through this weekend. Looks like Nicaragua, Honduras here, Belize, all the way up to Cancun, southern Mexico, getting a break from the rain. You can see showers continuing towards Jamaica as we head into Monday. Showers over toward the Northeast Caribbean islands. Now watch as this frontal boundary sinks to the south here on our European run. You can see the increased moisture from the Eastern Pacific, also from the Southern Caribbean here. This is going to converge right on the northern coast of Honduras here. As we stretch through Tuesday into Wednesday, you can see that frontal boundary just stalls here and focuses the moisture right across northern Honduras here. So we're going to continue to watch this move towards the Cayman Islands and Jamaica through Thursday into Friday. You can see that heavier rain moving south and east here towards the Turks and Caicos, western parts of Haiti here, the north coast of Dominican Republic. Now watch this as we continue to go through time here. You can ultimately see we're going to be watching that frontal boundary stall to the east of Jamaica. Another one heading towards the Yucatan Peninsula here. And on the return flow ahead of this, you can see from Jamaica on eastward to Puerto Rico, we're socked in with heavier showers and thunder showers here continuing as we stretch through February 3rd and 4th. So heading on to the first week of February, it could be very rainy across the central portion of the Caribbean here. Drier conditions back towards southern Mexico and the Yucatan Peninsula. Still looking showery here across the northern coastline of Honduras. So we're going to watch for that. Hispaniola here getting very heavy rain through February 6th and 7th. And that's just going to continue to stall out as we head through February 8th. And looking at the Western Caribbean here, Central America, showers continuing across Jamaica, parts of Nicaragua, Honduras, Belize, as we stretch later in the week. There's the northern coastline of Honduras, stretching next weekend towards Jamaica. Wetter times are ahead there, all the way through Haiti, southeastern Bahamas, northern coastline of Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico, getting tremendous rain here. Look at the northern coastline of Honduras, upwards of 2 to 350 millimeters of rainfall, lesser amounts back here towards Belize, almost nothing towards Cancun. Here is the Cayman Islands, nothing more than, say, 15 to 20 millimeters. But look at the northeast coast of Jamaica. Some areas could approach 315 millimeters, especially towards Portland Parish. Watch out. Wet times ahead in Jamaica, southeastern Cuba, northern coastline of Haiti, and Dominican Republic. Upwards of 150 to 200 millimeters and 3 to 4 inches of rain from St. Croix all the way up to Puerto Rico. And here we are on the GFS. I don't know why I keep starting off at 120 hours. But here we go. We're starting from the very beginning. Very similar to the European model I just showed you. You can see northern coastline of Honduras here, eastern Belize. These are areas that could get up to 300 to 400 millimeters here. So flooding threat running high. Over towards the Cayman Islands, you got a little rain hole here, 15 to 30 millimeters. But look at northeastern parts of Jamaica, a little bit drier than, I shouldn't say drier, but less amounts than the Euro. But still, we're looking at close to 100 to 110 millimeters here. A lot of rainfall as we stretch through next weekend into the first week of February. Northern coastline of Dominican Republic as well. Lesser amounts back towards Puerto Rico, St. Croix. More like about a half to 3/4 of an inch here on the GFS. And here we are for the Eastern Caribbean. On the European run, you can see those trade winds keeping that moist flow. Nothing more than a few showers from day to day. Until the last day of January, we could be getting a surge of moisture up the Lesser Antilles chain here, and then eventually feeding into that frontal boundary as we head towards that first and second week of February. Trinidad, Tobago, all the way up the island chain here of the Lesser Antilles to St. Lucia. You could be looking at some areas close to 70 to 80 millimeters of rainfall, but much of it is back towards Puerto Rico here. And then as we're looking into the Eastern Caribbean here, you can see those rainfall amounts continuing on those east-northeasterly trade winds here. You can see that frontal boundary moving into the north-central Caribbean, just like I showed you on the European run, although the Euro is wetter. Still, Trinidad Tobago down here could see upwards of 60 to 80 millimeters all the way up to St. Lucia as well. So we'll keep an eye on that. All right, so here we are for the Western Pacific. Yeah, you saw a brief, lots of snow up here towards portions of Japan. Now, central Philippines, we're dealing with that stalled out frontal boundary, but you can see here, Japan, it gets quiet until around the 27th or 28th. We have a couple storms moving through. Those move pretty far to the east, though, by the 28th, 29th. You see through the central and southern Philippines, we're dealing with that stalled out frontal boundary, all that strung out tropical moisture. Doesn't look like any tropical system's trying to develop. Maybe this one towards the 5th. We also have a storm up here in northern Japan come the 5th, that moving out by the 6th. Very fast movers, I must say. This one does stand a chance to develop maybe into a tropical storm that first into the second week of February, just east of the Philippines. This has been the trend as of late, and then the southern Japanese islands getting into some unsettled weather, stormy, wet conditions through that second week of February. And looking at the Western Pacific rainfall amounts here, yeah, we get a little bit in northern Japan and the central and southern Philippines. Central southern Philippines, that east coast, that's where you're probably going to get more like a couple 100 millimeters of liquid equivalent. Now, as we stretch through the end of the month, there's a couple systems that head just east of Japan and then clip northern Japan there as we stretch through February 8th there. But it's the southern Philippines here. This is where some areas could approach 400 to 500 millimeters. Extended forecast. Hometown viewers, Binghamton, Scranton, Upper Susquehanna, River Valley, New York, and Pennsylvania. Look at this. So yeah, the big story is going to be Sunday into Sunday night, early Monday. Snow will be moving in. We could have up to, 6 to 10 inches Sunday. Another potential 6 to 10 inches Sunday night. So yeah, you do the math. We're looking at 12 to 20 inches across the forecast area, most likely honing in on that 16 to 18 inch mark across the Twin Tiers of New York into northeast Pennsylvania. So watch out. Snow showers continuing into Monday, ending around 1 p.m. Look at these highs, though. We're only getting up to the upper teens Sunday. Monday, we're barely struggling to reach 20. Tuesday, look at this. Wednesday, later in the week, these lows in the single digits and highs only into the teens with that snowpack.
I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code.
As always, thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Also, don't forget to join me on Facebook at MeteoMark, also Weather Northeastern, also Twitter at Weather Eastern. Don't forget it's MeteoMark.com, and don't forget, if you want to send me a coffee, there is a link, super thanks. You can smash that super thanks button or my PayPal link in the description down below. You can buy me a cup of coffee. Thanks everyone, share that video, subscribe if you haven't, smash that like button.